Have you ever had a cut that you thought was cleaned, only to find out it became infected a couple days later? Well, here's what I want you to know. Anger is like a wound in your spirit, and if it doesn't get cleaned out completely, it becomes infected. But it doesn't infect your body, it poisons your soul. For most of us, our hearts are suffering from dirty, infected wounds. Some have been there for years, and we don't know how to clean them out. Today, I'm going to give you practical, specific ways to clean out wounds of anger that have been poisoning your soul. Stay with us.
Welcome to this Thursday edition of Living on the Edge with Chip Ingram. Chip serves as the president of Walk Through the Bible and is the teacher on this daily international radio broadcast. I'm Dave Drury, and today Chip wraps up our current series, Overcoming Emotions That Destroy, with a message he calls How to Be Good and Mad. And for the past week, Chip has given us some very helpful tools for identifying and diffusing our anger, and has probably opened up some areas of hurt and pain along the way. Well, today he'll conclude the series with a message he calls How to Be Good and Mad, and at the end he'll return in studio with some very important insights from today's message. Now, let's join Chip.
Have you ever had a big gash? I played a lot of basketball, so when I go to the emergency room, I just high-five the attendant, good to see you. Nothing really big, broken nose, a gash, and turned ankle, a little, ligament and something. But I've had some times where I've been, either unwisely riding on a motorcycle or on a bike, and I've gotten gashed, and then you roll in the dirt and the pebbles. Have you ever had one of those, or one of your kids, and you go into the emergency room, and it's ugly, and it's dirty, and it's got all this junk in it? And it's like these ER doctors, it's like they've been watching TV, and this is my time, I love to do this. We got to get this clean. And so they start pouring that stuff first, and then they go, ah! They have to find the stuff that's just hurts as much as possible. And then especially if it's your kids, you want to just die. You think, man, it looks clean to me. And they take a syringe. You ever seen them do this with the saline solution? And they'll push it in under the skin and go, and their kid's going like this, and you're holding them down. It's okay, son, we're going to make it through this, And then the guy does it again. You're thinking, are you like sadistic or what? You know what that guy knows? You either clean out all the debris or you got an infection coming. You either clean out all the debris. It hurts a lot less not to deal with it. It hurts a lot less to push it down and say, I'm not really angry. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't bother me. I'm going to pretend it's okay. And it'll pop up over here. You'll yell at your wife over here. Get down on one of your kids over here. It'll poison your soul. Or you clean out the debris. You deal with it. And you tell God how angry and mad and unjust. Read the Psalms. David tells God a lot of times, this isn't fair. I'm mad. This is unjust. I'm ticked off. But then he deals with it. You have to clean out the debris. Get rid of. It didn't say gloss over. Get rid of, eliminate, take away wrath, rage, anger, bitterness, and resentment. The second step then is you got to treat the wound. That's sort of the negative thing. Then verse 32 says, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as God in Christ also forgave you. Well, how do you do that? You extend forgiveness and you seek reconciliation as far as it depends on you. You extend forgiveness and seek reconciliation. And I would say, thinking people in the room are going, no, wait a second. Okay. I know that you've really been busy, Chip, and I bet you probably just are missing it on this one. After what my wife did to me, you're saying I need to own my stuff first, repent and confess, and then I'm going to forgive her and seek reconciliation as far as it depends on me? What have you been drinking? Are you kidding me? I have just little delights when I hear that things go wrong at work for her after what she did to me. I have a little sense after what one of my kids did and turned away from us and spurned us and used up all our money in college, and now he's living with some girl and, his life's a wreck. I'll tell you what, I get a little pleasure when I hear how hard it is. He's finally getting what he's getting. God, way to go. That'll build the bridges of reconciliation and love. I'm going to ask you to do the illogical, but the biblical. Why? I'm not saying this makes any logical sense, humanly speaking. Why? Because Jesus did it for you. Jesus did not wait until you got all your act cleaned up to forgive you. Now, forgiveness and reconciliation in a second are not the exact same thing. But forgiveness is, I like the dynamics of forgiveness. Dr. Paul Meyer writes, definition, I release you from any further obligation or debt. I choose not to hurt back the person who's hurt me. It's a willful decision on a certain date. I willfully choose not to pay you back. I release you from the debt you owe me for how you wounded me. Forgiveness is a choice of the will, often despite feelings. You can say, well, I don't feel like forgiving him. Well, be a hypocrite on this one. Choose to do what's right, and your feelings will follow. It's that passage in Romans 12. Overcome evil with good. How do you do it? Let me give you 4 quick steps about how do you actually treat the wound. Number 1, prayer. Ask God to make you willing. I had to say, you know what? I don't want to forgive him. I don't want to forgive him. Get honest. I don't want to forgive him. Will you do something in my heart that will help me want to even forgive this person? Second is seek to understand their attack. This is a hard one. You know the person. What makes them tick? Where are they coming from? Try and conjure up a set of circumstances and situations that might help you understand why that person would do that thing, thinking the way they think, being the kind of person they are. And it'll give you just a little window, possibly, of compassion. The third thing is take steps to close the loop. And what I mean by that is, for me, I wrote that letter. Now, that letter I kept in my briefcase for a year. And a year later, I realized, 1, I can't send this letter with this spirit, and so I tore it up. But I wrote the letter, and I took a step to say, I got all the junk out of me on a sheet of paper. This is how I really feel. Because if you don't get it out clear, guess what it does? It goes round and round in your brain, comes back down, round and round. Get out on a sheet of paper how you really feel. So you see, man, you know what? I got issues here. Second thing is then, if at all possible, you need to communicate to this person that you forgive them. And this has got to be one of those real prayerful times where God's working and you're not playing games where you say, you know something, I feel, remember this? I feel very hurt when you tape recorded the conversation and sought to use that against me. And I want you to know that before God, I've released you from the pain that I wanted to inflict back at you. May the Lord bless you. Willful choice. I feel hurt. I feel frustrated. See, I feel is not an attacking word. And I choose to forgive you. Why? Because that's what Christ did for me. For some, it'll be a letter. For some, it'll be a face-to-face. You know, for some, it's long distance. You need to get on the phone. God will show you which avenue. But the avenue needs to be one where you're under control, you feel like you can accomplish this well, and it won't incite. If you've got history, you get on the phone and you say 3 things, and the thing's going to blow up, don't do it by phone. And you write out what you're going to say. Clean, clear, spiritually prepared not to get drawn back into it. For some of you, you got unbelievable anger at your dad. And the problem is he's dead. We come from a generation where we got a whole generation of men that were before us that didn't know how to give us what we needed, didn't give us what we needed, and we've passed it on. And now some of us came to Christ in adulthood, and we're trying to fix it in the next generation. And you look backwards and you realize, man, I'm hacked. And what I want to encourage you to do is to write a letter to your father. Or write a letter for some of you. This is like real group, isn't it? There's some people that have been abused. There's some people that have had a mate walk out on them. There's people that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. I will just imagine when they trusted a friend who did them in a business deal. And now maybe that person's dead. What do you do with that? You write out first how deeply you've been hurt. And then you write out before God and you say, you release that person. And that act of doing it, and then you put that someplace and put a date on it. You will be astounded that it can bring closure. And you don't do it because you're holy. You don't do it because you're better than anyone else. Forgive them just as God forgave you. Do you deserve to be forgiven? Yes or no? See, we get I want justice for everyone else, and I want mercy for me. I got news. That is not how it works. You either get justice, or mercy. You choose which one. And then I'll tell you what, as angry and bitter and hurt, I've had times where I just wanted to shake someone or bust someone if they were smaller. And I just finally came to the conclusion that, God, if you deal with me the way I'm seeking to deal with this person, I don't stand a chance. And I just have to repent of my arrogance as though I'm so much better and I deserve better. And I don't. And neither do you. God unconditionally has forgiven you. What you've done, what you've thought